Hi, welcome back. Last time I didn't explain much about how the woman being transformed during the conversation with Jesus. This time I would like to explain a little bit more how the woman being changed. This is somehow is applied to me also. People talking to me, particularly Christian, and to explain all that concept, I don't understand what they are talking about. All right. So it actually is really similar to this Samaritan woman. Obviously, didn't know what Jesus telling her at the beginning, and just like how I being ignorance, whatever some Christian tell me about, whatever from the Bible. Unfortunately, after I become a believer, I also forgot how I believe. But in Bible, this story actually reveal a lot of details, the transformation of this woman. So today I'm going to share with you what happened to this woman. So her first pain is obviously is she has to come out from the town to draw the water in the inconvenience time. So no one want that, but she because of the pain, she need to avoid the people, so she have to come doing things like that. How we see that from the Bible here, John chapter 4, verse 7. When the Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, "Will you give me a drink?" Okay, here John also make that clear that his disciple has gone into the town to buy food, so they are alone. So this is a convenience time for the woman talking to Jesus. The first pain she has is she need to draw the water like this, and second pain is her social status. So as we know, she had a 5+1 husband, and she also tried to avoid the people. So her social status is sort of being not so good. Okay, this social status also reflected in the next conversation. All right, let's take a look at it. So the Samaritan woman said to him, "You are Jews. I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink?" Now here also John also made that clear to you. All right, for Jews do not associate with Samaritans. Here there's a two socially awkward situation. Number one is obviously the Jews doesn't talk to Samaritans. This is the general rules. Why you should talk to Samaritans, and the Samaritan also know that I shouldn't talk to Jews. So this is the one awkward case that suddenly the Jews come to talk to Samaritan woman, and second is the woman. Okay, why? Because at that time a man shouldn't talk to a woman, or a woman talking to a man privately. Usually these are not a socially acceptable situation. Oh, the woman said, "You are Jews. I'm a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink?" This is the verdict. Hey, you Jews, okay, this man, okay, Jewish man, you shouldn't talk to me. Now, this is somewhat actually is very reflexive to her own life. Now, first of all, her town people doesn't quite accept her. All right, this is number one. So she being feel the pressure of not being accepted, and now suddenly when this sort of awkward situation came, she also reflect that pressure to the Lord. So this is reflecting her. Besides what she said is socially wrong, awkward, but it's also reflecting her spirituality that she being pressed, and now she also reflect that to Jesus. So and obviously, she refused to give him a drink. Well, that's a easy escape, and you are not. I'm not supposed to talk to you, and you ask me for a drink. Hey, forget it. This is the typical response. Okay, when man talking to God, this is our first response, typically. Okay. After Jesus respond to her that he said, well, if you know the gift of God, okay, this is number one. And second is, who it is that asks you for a drink? You would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. You suddenly see that Jesus changed the position from before he is asking, and now he is offering. Now that triggered the woman to say things. Sir, the woman said, you had nothing to draw with, the well is deep. Where can you get this living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from it himself, and did also his sons and his living stock? So she started to justify herself, okay? He suddenly bring up our father Jacob. She tried to justify her, I'm superior, okay? This is our father Jacob is the, now Jacob, if you don't know, Jacob is the father of Israel. Essentially, is the whole Jewish culture, okay? He is the grandfather, okay? So now suddenly she put up Jacob in front of Jesus. This is the well coming from our father Jacob. Are you bigger than him? Now you can see her struggle, okay? Now, first she struggled with her life, now she struggled with her social status. So now this struggle getting deeper, okay? Getting deeper into her personal. When Jesus also answered her that drink this water, you will be thirsty again, but whoever drink the water I gave them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I gave them will become them in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life. Now, somewhat the woman started to hear Jesus and soften a little bit and say things like this. The woman said to him, Sir, give me this water so I won't get thirsty and have to keep coming here to draw water. Now, she is opened herself up and really want this solution, okay? Her livelihood solution, because her livelihood is harsh, which is you need to draw the water in the middle of the day, is harsh. Now, she started to hear, all right? When Jesus mentioned that, oh, I have another water that you want to drink instead of this water. Now, obviously, when Jesus asked her for a drink of water, he is not thirsty. It's just to start the conversation, okay? And water conversation is just elevated into the more and more into the spiritual discussion. So now she opened up. Now Jesus at this time very direct and asked, go and call your husband and come back. Now we all know that this is her real issues, all right? That because her life is just so humble that she has the 5+1 husband. And again, the woman replied, I have no husband. Directly reject. So she didn't being truthful to herself, and so that's not truthful to God also, and forget about being truthful to the others. Now this is you can see that her pain from the livelihood, from the social status, now getting into personal. Well, Jesus getting into really personal. And the woman sustained. She didn't run away and, blast Jesus with all the bad words she could. And she composed and continues to dialogue with Jesus. Now, this is the courage. This woman is really courageous. You are living with another man, but he is not your husband. This is bad for her. But Jesus didn't really make a big deal from it. Okay? And now this woman started to show the elevation of her understanding is that the woman say what? Oh, I see that you are a prophet. Now, prophet at that time consider him as a teacher, right? Just like the pastor or priest or some other religious figure to talk about the teaching, right? What the man should do, right? Or what the man shouldn't do. So it's sort of teaching. So she started to elevate herself into, oh, now she started to say that our ancestors worship on this mountain, and you Jews claim that this place where we must worship in the Jerusalem. Now, this is the formality how these people worship, okay? But this is not the key point. And Jesus point out that the true believer, okay, that the Father seek is not about the place and not about who you are. The key point is the worship in the spirit and in truth. That's the most important teaching, all right? And remember the Father, all right? Because this is critical that most of the people, when they worship something, okay, of some sort of authority, and which seems to be have no relationship with you. But in this Bible worship is, oh, he is our Father. He is not someone you don't know. He's someone that you're supposed to know, but you forgot. Okay? But anyway, this we covered it last time. Now let's look at what the woman responded. The woman said, I know that Messiah, also Christ, is coming. When he comes, he will explain everything to us. This is what the woman tried to look for, which is, oh, why my life just so humble? Okay, this is the answer that she is looking for. So remember, Jesus has been talking to her on one subject or one thing all along. But you can see that the woman has changed her understanding, okay, when she is talking to Jesus. Right after this point, then leaving her water jar, the woman went back to the town and said to the woman, come see a man who told me everything I ever did. Could this be the Messiah? You can see the excitement that she seems to suddenly realize, oh, she changed. Now this is really the key topic. What we try to cover today is how she become like this, suddenly leaving the water jar and went back. Now, first of all, Jesus, we know that, right? Because we see that Jesus keep talk about the living water, and the water she draw is, you will thirsty again. And Jesus didn't change the topic. He has been explaining, and also bringing her into the solution from the livelihood, from the social status into the personal one. All right? But the woman just didn't get it at the beginning. Oh, interesting. How could she not realize that when Jesus first talked, he already gave her the answer? Now, this is the awakening, the moment of awakening. Now, looking at that, how she suddenly become awakened? Now, the critical point is, once she start to question whether Jesus is the Messiah, once she have that thought, her vision is already aligned with what she had learned before about who God is. And now suddenly she is standing in the position of God and see who Jesus is. So before, she called her a Jew. Second, she called her Sir. And later called Jesus prophet, right? And now she see her as the Messiah. Of course, you will see that her vision starting from afar, which is not quite understand who Jesus is, and slowly realize that, would this be the Messiah? Now, when she having this question, no doubt, her vision, her mindset is on the standing of God and seeing who Jesus is, and now look back on what she had been through during this conversation. Now, let us walk back, okay? and we examine in her heart how she would understand the conversation one more time. Again, I using three circle, which is her livelihood, social status, and the personal one, and now looking at from the perspective of God, how she will be able to understand her problem. Once she start to use this perspective to looking back on this conversation and her life, oh, suddenly she realized that the one that we worship is our Father. So, well, then that is our right to asking our Father to help, no doubt. Ah, perfect. Sounds good. And also, well, has to be truthful. Well, also makes sense. Okay? And also she got the encouragement to go back and tell the people, oh, I finally found the answer. Ultimately, everything just worked perfectly fine as long as, okay, she has the courage to tell the truth. Now, I don't care what kind of teaching you got, okay, or whatever belief you have, but this is the practical teaching. If you just truthful to the people, your life will be fine. Actually, we all live like this woman. Even before when I become a believer, I live like this woman. Now, disregard what the religion or belief is true or not. And as we from this story, we know that God is listening. All right, always listen to our voice in our heart. I don't know how long you have been praying for something. Maybe you praying for a long, long time, and seems like didn't get any response. Just like this woman, okay? Before she came to this drawing the water, I'm pretty sure that she is in a prayer. Please help me, all right? When I come to the well, see no one, okay? This woman has been repeating this struggle for quite a long time, I believe. But we also like this the Samaritan woman also that we've been keep praying but didn't get any answer. We for sure that even though the subject of your worship could be something else, but your true father actually still listening. All right. Now look at how this uh, woman's transformation from a non-believer suddenly become a believer is that she gone through a quite a few struggle. Okay, of course from the livelihood, and then the struggle with the social status, and also spiritually she struggled. Okay, and finally her personal life, uh, get touched by God. Now the key is she didn't make the connection when Jesus first talked to her about the living water. She didn't connect the word to her real life. Okay, she didn't make that connection. Why is that? Now this is exactly what the Bible said, that this is the disconnection between the life and the livelihood. We also call it the separation from God, essentially the spiritual death. So because we no longer sensitive to the God's word, so we no longer connect his word with our life. So she didn't make a connection between the bitter water and the living water. She didn't see this connection until she had the right perspective when she put herself into the God position and see her life. And then she start to get the inspiration. What the Jesus told her is the true living water and true solution to her toll. At the end, Jesus' word strike her heart. So think of ourselves that when someone tell you about the Bible or Jesus said something, if we could open ourselves up and listen to the truth, and if we awake by the word, now we may get the inspiration to the problem at hand. And I'm sure every problem at hand, when you pray, God will answer you. But whether you awake and then get the answer from Him, that is really thinking of ourselves, whether we are awake. Now, how do we know we are awake? Just like how that woman start to realize that Jesus seems to be not a simple Jew, and then suddenly call him sir, and then become a prophet, and then start to realize, oh, he's the Messiah. Now, this is obviously is the spiritual awakening. Now, at this time, if you're looking at this story, do you believe that Jesus is the Messiah? Now, this word may be cryptic to some people. Meaning is he is Son of God. What the meaning of Son of God? As I said in the other session, is that when God created man in His own likeness, meaning is that we, our body, and God are living like a buddy-buddy. We're supposed to be like this. It was because we choose to not follow the God's word, called it the spiritual death. All right. So if you recognize that, oh, Jesus is supposed, this is the perfect image about who God is. All right. Oh, thanks God, you are the spiritual awake. Now, not all the people, okay, if you're reading the Bible, not all the people totally believe this. All right. Now, not because they are not smart or they're bad. No, not like that. It is just that they didn't pay attention to what Jesus tell them. If you get a little bit patient, a little bit open-minded, and try to connect His word with your being and your way of life, try to be open and see whether you can make the connection. You will find that everything that you find from the Bible reflected into your life almost like my hand, tightly coupled together. It's just a matter of whether you recognize that, oh, actually God is talking to you. Now, one more secret that I share with you. Every time when you read the Bible, God talks to you. Enjoy. See you next time.